Hi everyone, my name is Alexis. I'm making this video today about how the narcissist may have hurt you, but how the narcissist may have also helped you while hurting you. So, a lot of times when me and my narcissist used to argue, I would go sit in the car. Sometimes I would be in the mood to fight back, and then other times I just honestly didn't have the energy to waste, because it happens so often that sometimes it's just so tiring that you just can't freaking deal with it anymore. So at those moments I would go outside and sit in my car by myself just to clear my head and just to not have to hear his mouth, because once he would start, he would not stop. He would just, like a chihuahua in my ear, yapping about nothing. Things that he made up in his head that were not there, just violating me, disrespecting me, calling me out of my name, doing this in front of my kids. And especially when he would do it in front of my kids, I would go outside and sit in my car because I didn't want my kids to have to hear that, so I would just separate myself from the environment. I don't want my kids hearing him saying that stuff about their mother, because it's not true, and I'd just rather separate myself. But while I would separate myself, I had a lot of time alone, which led me to learn how to be alone. I mean, on the flip side, I may have lost a lot of my friends because of him, but on the other hand, I also learned how to be alone, and I learned how to process my emotions. I learned how to deal with things instead of ignoring them. I learned how to face shit head on. It made me stronger in a way. Now I can be alone and have no problem with being alone. I don't need to be around anybody. And I mean, as harsh as that may sound, of course, everybody loves to have a friend, but I don't need a friend now. Before, I needed friends. I felt like I needed to be around somebody. Me and my best friend would hang out like this. We were like this all the time. Always up each other's ass. Because I just wanted to be around somebody. I felt like I needed to be around somebody to validate or whatever. I would tell her everything because I felt like I needed to be validated. Now, I don't need to be validated. I know what's right, I know what's wrong, I know what I can deal with, what I can't deal with. I know my triggers. I know a lot of things that I didn't necessarily notice before. And another thing I can say is that sitting in the car by myself also helped me go back to my childhood, to see how the situation that is happening right now has played out in the past before. Because honestly, every time the narcissist would start with me, it felt like, in a way, like it was repeating from my past. I don't know how to explain it. This may not be true for everybody, but this is true for me. So I had to take a look at my past during certain situations where I felt a familiar feeling in that moment. And this helped me to look at my past and see what else have I dealt with that's similar to this. And I realized that my narcissist that is in my life has a lot of similarities to my father. My grandparents raised me since I was a baby. My mom had me when she was 17 years old. I had my son when I was 17 years old, so there's no excuse for not raising your own kid. But that's something that I have a hard time forgiving. Save that for another time, though. I'm cool with my mom in this day right now, but that is something that still bothers me to this day, with my mom and my dad, not just my mom. But when I was 12 years old, I went to live with my dad for 1 year, and my grandparents are totally different from my dad. My dad is like a freaking drill sergeant. He's like dead serious. He has a dead serious face. He seems as if he has no emotions. It's hard for you to get him to smile. It's hard for you to get him to laugh, unless if it's like making fun of somebody or making like a sarcastic joke. Like, that's the only time I could ever really get him to crack a smile. And I would spend a lot of time trying to figure him out. I'm that type of person. Like, I like to know what makes people tick. I like to learn somebody inside out. I like to develop close one-on-one relationships, and I just felt like I could never get close to my dad. And I just didn't understand why. I guess it's because me and him are so different from each other. His parents are really strict, and my mom's parents are not. My mom's parents are empaths. They are sensitive people like me. And I guess I have like a little bit of both in me. It's kind of weird. I think about that a lot too, like where I came from and my upbringing and stuff. And I have both traits in me. I'm very sensitive. I'm a sensitive soul. I feel everything very deeply. Things, I can pick up on things that nobody else can pick up on. I automatically can read people's moods. But I also have that asshole side in me too, where I have no problem speaking my mind, but the thing is I have to feel comfortable enough to do so. It has to be in an environment that I feel safe to do so in. So he helped bring me back to my childhood and figure out things that basically helped me figure out why I react in the ways that I react, and why certain things that he says bother me so much. Because people always say, oh, you have control over how you feel, but that's not always true. Sometimes we don't know why we react in the way that we do. Sometimes it's so deeply engraved inside of us that it's just an automatic response, and you just don't even know why you do it or where it comes from, what the trigger is, what happened in your past that led you to react this way in this day in time, in this moment in time. So I don't agree with that. But I do believe that narcissists help you heal in ways, even if it sounds ridiculous at first. But in my opinion, that's the truth. He helped me literally go back into my childhood and remember certain things that happened to me that are kind of like replaying in the situation at that moment with the narcissist, if that makes sense. Like, for example, what can I use as an example? This is something I can use. So my boyfriend would say things to my kids, well, my narcissist would say things to my kids, and while he would say these things, I would cringe. I'd be cringing, like, in the inside, like, because he's so harsh and he's such a fucking asshole. Like, he would never put his hands on my kids, ever. But his mouth, he didn't talk to them as how he talked to me, but he did talk to them in ways that I would not talk to my kids. I'm pretty strict as a parent as well, but I'm not, like, there's just certain ways that you can say things without being an asshole about it. And that's just one thing I didn't respect about him, because he always had to be an asshole. And that's something that I saw in my dad, and I also saw in him. So when he would say things to my kids, I said something to him. A lot of the times that he did say something to my kids, I would be like, you don't have to say it like that. And he'd be like, why do you get mad? He said, boys need discipline. Which is true, they do. And they do need it coming from a man. But I still don't think that they need to be talked to in such a way. Like, there's other ways to go about things. And he would ask me, the narcissist would ask me, why though? Why do you feel like that? Is it because because I always tell him I put myself in other people's shoes all the time. I always do that. It's just like an automatic response that I do. I always imagine how I would feel if I was being talked to like that. And that's what I do with my kids automatically. I just do that with my kids, definitely. I also do it with other people as well, but definitely with my kids. And he would always say, you can't think that your kids are going to feel the same way that you would feel in a situation, which is true, because there's no way I can know for sure if my kids would feel how I would feel being talked to like that, because everybody is different. So he also helped me learn to recognize why I do that. Like, why am I always putting myself in someone's shoes? And I feel like the reason why a lot of us empaths have to deal with narcissists and go through these types of relationships is because we have a hard time standing up for ourselves. We have a hard time setting boundaries. We have a hard time saying no. We have a hard time with being manipulated by people. We have a hard time being taken advantage of. We're the go-to people for others. People know that we're going to say yes. People know that we're going to do our best. People just know the type of people that we are, and a lot of people take advantage of that. So I feel like some of us go through this relationship because we need to learn how to set up proper boundaries. Also, during this relationship, I developed a very strong connection to God that I don't think I would have done if I did not go through these experiences with the narcissist. I have a very strong connection to God, and I talk to God all the time, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I definitely feel like he was put into my life to break these generational curses, because my whole family is like this on my mom's side, pretty much. I mean, my mom is a beast. She's not really like me. She's a lot different. My mom speaks her mind, and she doesn't care what anybody thinks. I guess some would say she's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not really like that. Like, for me, it depends on the environment, the energy, how I'm feeling in a certain situation. Being around a lot of people drains me, and I can't be around too many people at once. I'm more of the type that likes to be around a select few. That helps me get comfortable faster. But now I feel like I can be around a big group of people without like losing the sense of who I am, if that makes sense. Like, now I'm able to put up boundaries. Now I'm able to say no. And you know something? It's crazy, because during this last Mercury retrograde that just got over, I'm an astrologer as well, so I believe in astrology, and I'm always paying attention to the movements of the planets, because they definitely have a direct effect on us on Earth. But during the last Mercury retrograde, my old boss reached out to me, which Mercury retrograde represents. Mercury is the planet of communication, and when it goes retrograde, that means that it's moving backwards in the sky, even though it's not really moving backwards. It's just an illusion. It looks like it's moving backwards. But when Mercury goes retrograde, it means basically communication goes backwards. So it's a time when exes can reach out to you. It's a time when past co-workers or bosses can reach out to you. It's like when things of the past are brought up for review. So during Mercury retrograde, in the past couple weeks, my old boss had reached out to me and asked me if I can start working again or whatever. Now, when I worked there, I was taken advantage of. I did a very good job. Like, I did more than I was required to do. I organized, cleaned the shit out of the store. I always kept it clean, and they knew the type of person that I was. She would ask me to clean after she's seen, like, what I did the first couple of times or whatever. Like, she would ask me, and I would kind of feel resentful, because I want to do it when I want to do it. I'm not getting paid extra for this. But they would still ask that and expect that of me because I did it before. And then when you do stuff like that, it puts you in a situation where you feel like uncomfortable to say no, because you know that that's what's expected of you now. somebody that's not an empath might not understand how somebody could be like that. But I'm sure all of my empaths can relate. So anyways, she asked me if I could come to work because she was going to fire these 2 young boys that worked there because they weren't doing their job good. So I said, okay. I told her the days that I have off, because I actually just started working for my mom at my mom's job. She has a grooming pet salon where she grooms dogs. So I work 3 days a week now. And I haven't worked in over 2 years. During the whole COVID, I haven't worked. And I also have this thing from COVID called parosmia, where my eating and smelling is messed up. Like, I can't taste food regularly. And so that's a reason why I stopped working for so long, because I can barely eat anything. I have no energy. But whatever, so I'm getting a little bit better with my parosmia anyways. But so I decided to say yeah. I said, yeah, I'll work, whatever. So I go in, and she tells me that I would just be working 3 days a week, because I work 3 days a week at my mom's. So I told her the days that I have off or whatever. And then the store closes at 8 o'clock now. So she told me I'd be working from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on my 3 days or whatever. So then once she hires me and I come back to work, she then tells me, like, as soon as I come in, like about an hour after I start working, that next week they're going to start closing the store at 10 o'clock again. I used to work the shift 2 to 11, and I hated it because I couldn't spend that much time with my kids. And it was hard getting a babysitter. It was hard to have them ready for bed, baths, dinner, homework, and stuff. So I didn't want to work that late. That's why I said yeah when she said it was from only 2 to 8. So so anyways, when I started working, about an hour after my first shift, she comes to tell me, oh, we're going to be starting to keep the store open until 10 o'clock next week starting. And I was like, yeah, but I told you I can only do until 8 o'clock. And I feel like God puts us in situations like this to test us, to see if we've learned any lessons being with this narcissist. And I was very proud of myself for that moment, because this is something that I would have just let slide before. Like, before I was with the narcissist, I would be like, okay, I'll work till 10. Like, I'll just take it like a fucking bitch. Like an idiot that can't stand up for herself. I don't know why I'm like that, because on the inside I know when something's wrong, and I know when somebody's taking advantage of me. I always know. I always feel people's true intentions, always. It's just sometimes I have a hard time speaking up. I don't know why. But now I don't. I still do. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do. But I can separate myself from people now without a problem. Like, dismiss them out, point blank, period. It's easy for me to cut somebody out of my life now. Before, I always cut people out of my life. When I was done. But now it's like just easier for me to say no. It's easier for me to not make excuses for myself. It's just easier to set boundaries, and it's easier to say no from the beginning instead of waiting, and then instead of saying yeah at first and then changing my mind and saying no later. It's just easier for me to do that now, because that's things I used to do before. I would say yeah and take on too many things that I knew I didn't want to do, but I would take them on anyways, and then maybe later on change my mind. But I don't do that anymore. That's what I feel like the narcissist can teach us, and we can learn from them. Alright, so I just got to work, so I'll make another video maybe tomorrow morning on my way to work. But I just wanted to start sharing this stuff with people so that we could spread awareness about what it is like to be in a domestic violence situation, to be mentally and verbally abused, to have everything taken from you, and to have your whole life change, pretty much, and your whole personality change. Alright, so if you guys want to talk about it, leave any comments, or if you want me to bring up a specific subject or topic, just let me know. Alright, thank you.